Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I'm Lori Dowley. I'm Lori Dowley, chairperson for the National Mother's Day Committee, and it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you here to the 44th Annual Outstanding Mother Awards Luncheon, live at the Pierre. Yeah! I have to say that again, live at the Pierre. While we have been hunkered down for the last 2 years, the Pierre has been renovating this beautiful ballroom. I think they've done a good job. How about you? Looks beautiful. And they promised that it would be done for our luncheon, so we are thrilled to be here. This is my first large gathering that I've attended. And I just want to say, I'm overjoyed to see everybody's faces and the excitement I feel. The room is abuzz, and I know everybody's having just such a great time being here for such a great, great cause to honor some great women. It did take me a while, however, to get used to wearing my Prada heels, since I have spent a lot of time in athletic shoes and flats, but I'll be damned, I was not going to wear either one of those today. So I hope everybody put their heels on. I did my makeup a couple of times and my hair, so I had to get back in the groove of things. So we're thrilled to be here to honor these outstanding women and have their guests in attendance, their family, to celebrate such an accomplished, inspiring group of women leaders who just happen to be great moms. So we're going to start the luncheon off with the beautiful faces and the wonderful voices of the New York City Choir. And as you listen, please feel free to start to enjoy your lunch. We'll be back. Okay, I'm back, everybody. I'm going to be back and forth, so you'll have to bear with me today. Thank you to the New York City Children's Choir for those fantastic rendition. Okay, we will be sharing photos of today's event on Instagram, so if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, please find us at Mom and Dad Awards and use the hashtag #OutstandingMom. On behalf of the National Mother's Day Committee, I am pleased to welcome our 2022 Outstanding Mother honorees. Please give each of them a round of applause. Nancy Berger. Biana Goladraga. Where's Biana? Phyllis Newhouse. Marissa Thalberg. Oh boy, and Priya Venkatesh, right here. The honorees are in the house. The National Mother's Day Committee is proud to recognize each of these women for successfully building their careers while nurturing their families and helping to improve the lives of others. I'm excited to welcome back our fabulous host and a 2015 Outstanding Mother honoree, Joanna Coles. She has been our host since she was first honored 7 years ago, so thank you, Joanna. At this time, I'd like to thank our sponsors, especially those at the diamond level. Sephora and Lowe's Company. Thank you. And at our platinum level, PVH Foundation, the Sani Family Foundation, and Peter Thomas Roth and Naturally Serious. Thank you for supporting us. But of course, we wouldn't be here today without the generosity and continued support of so many who come annually to support this event. We sincerely and wholeheartedly thank all of you. The National Mother's Day Committee is part of the Father's Day Mother's Day Council, a not-for-profit organization that channels funds raised from our annual awards luncheon to help meaning philanthropies, dealing with issues affecting mothers, fathers, and children. Thanks to your support, the Council has donated more than $30 million to date to deserving family-related charities nationwide. We are proud to be donating the proceeds of today's luncheon to Save the Children's U.S. programs and advocacy. Through its commitment to breaking the cycle of poverty, Save the Children strives to ensure that the most underserved children in America are ready to learn by the time they begin school, that they thrive academically and developmentally, that they are healthy and active, and that they are safe and protected when disaster strikes. You'll notice that there are no flowers on the table this year. In lieu of flowers, the Council has made a special donation to Save the Children's Emergency Fund, which helps to support relief efforts in Ukraine. We'll also have some additional opportunities throughout our program to specifically support Save the Children's Emergency Fund, where you can help. We are honored to have with us today the President and CEO of Save the Children, Yanti Saripto, who is going to share more about Save the Children's advocacy work to benefit children both here in the United States as well as around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Yanti Saripto. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Heels, I can attest to. But I'm actually, I don't know about you, but I'm really hopeful or looking forward to actually taking them off again later today. It's wonderful to be live. This is our second live event for Save the Children colleagues. We had one earlier a couple of weeks ago in Boston, and it was really interesting to see how it is again to be in person in a community, and there's really nothing like it, actually. I'm not going to apologize, but I will warn you that I'm going to perhaps put a little bit of gloom over your wonderful luncheon by starting with a couple of dire statistics. But I will promise you I will also talk a little bit about hope and what we're doing about it. First and foremost, wonderful to be here. It's my first time with this wonderful committee. Being a mother is the most important job of my life. It's the title that is a lifelong title, the only title, I think, the job that you do for life. My Twitter handle states that I'm a mother of Lara and Duco first before I am the CEO of Save the Children. So it's a special It's a special occasion for us, for Save the Children, and certainly also for me. A thank you, first and foremost, to the committee, the Mother's Day Committee. Support for our programs in the US and for our work for children caught up in emergencies worldwide would be impossible without the support of people like you and people in this room and the many, many years of wonderful, loyal support of this organization. Maybe a little bit of context about our work in the United States, and some stats might not be known to everybody. About 30% of the children in rural America are living in poverty. Let me repeat that again, 30% of children in rural America live in poverty. Twice as many live in poverty in rural America as in urban centers in the United States. Although I would say that even that 1 in 6 in the United States living in poverty is a shameful statistic for a country as wealthy as this one. "12 million kids in the United States are hungry and are not always sure where their next meal is coming from. Thanks to your support, we are doing something about that. We work across over 300 communities, mostly in very rural America, to help kids be kids, but also to help them get ready for kindergarten, make sure they are achieving their literacy and numeracy grades at the right level, making sure their families, their mothers and their fathers know how to be their first and most important teacher as well. And as I said, there's nothing like seeing it firsthand. Betsy and I were lucky enough to see our work for the first time in 2.5 years in Cobb County, Tennessee, yesterday with our teams on the ground. And just a little story there to share. We're working with kids in Cobb County for many, many years. We're visiting schools. It's great to be with rowdy 4-year-olds again, reading to them, listening, hearing them read and progress, and also visiting their homes and speaking to their mothers. And I was lucky enough to meet Brittany, a mother living in Cobb County. Brittany has had a troublesome childhood, was a foster child, had essentially came from a very abusive household. Then she was lucky, and she said, I am the lucky one. She met one important person in her life, her foster mother who took her in when she was 5 years old. Brittany now has 3 children, 12, 9, and 3. And without Save the Children, she said she couldn't be a mom. She got her first child when she was 17. And then she was a single mom, and then she found a lifelong partner. We're helping her by coming into her home twice a month, helping her how to read to her kids, the signs to look for, what kind of development would we expect to see for kids that age. And according to Brittany, and she was saying through tears, that it would be impossible for her to be the mom that she wants to be for her kids without our support. It's not that Brittany doesn't want to be a good mom. She wants to be as great a mom as I want to be, as you all want to be. But sometimes people just need a little bit of help to become what they really aspire to be. And it was fantastic to be with Brittany and to see her journey and to see her really relish that role of a mom. And she is now one of our parent ambassadors, talking to other moms and helping them also benefit from the work that Save the Children and our partners in that community are doing. Let me talk a little bit about our work overseas. Currently, and I'm sure this is on everybody's mind as we're looking to watch a war in Ukraine unfold with horrific consequences. But even before Ukraine, 450 million children are living in conflict. It's the highest number of kids living in conflict for over the last 3 decades. Save the Children was founded over 100 years ago, especially for children coming out of the conflict of World War I. So this is in our DNA, but we take very little comfort in the fact that those numbers are going in the wrong direction. Ukraine now, we are concerned about 7.5 million children living in Ukraine and now sometimes on the move, and the consequences of this war that will be with them for many, many years and quite often for their whole lives. The trauma that these kids are witnessing are things, they are seeing things that no child should ever see. And we see it as they make drawings for us in our child-friendly spaces as they are coming across the border, or whether we see them in our child-friendly spaces inside the Ukraine. Save the Children has been in Ukraine since 2014. We have 25 staff, Ukrainian staff on the ground. Everybody is safe and accounted for so far. We have now 25 local partners, and we've surged in another 20 additional staff to help set up a phenomenal response. It will be one of our biggest responses ever for Save the Children globally. We'll be doing education, child protection, making sure kids get reunited with their families if they lose their families in the chaos that this crisis usually brings. We're trying to help their families with cash transfers immediately. We're handing out food and other essential items for babies, mothers, pregnant women as well. And again, we couldn't do it without the support of this wonderful organization. And of course, we're seeing the spillover effects of this crisis in terms of increasing food prices, prices of oil, and that is having a knock-on effect in how much food we can distribute in other countries. We are also, aside from Ukraine, we are responding to our largest hunger and famine crisis, with millions of people, particularly children and young children who are more vulnerable, in over 40 countries, not knowing, again, where the next meal is from, and 45 million people on the brink of starvation. And again, the $100 that we'd have to respond to that now probably goes only half as far with inflationary food prices, partly due to the war in Ukraine. So all these things are interconnected. Our Children's Emergency Fund that Laurie was just mentioning helps us to respond immediately and to prepare for the next one, even before a crisis hits the media headlines. And sometimes those crises don't hit the media headlines at all, as we know. So the Children's Emergency Fund that we had ready allowed us to immediately, on the 24th of February, when Russia invaded Ukraine, we were ready with cash, with people, with stuff, to make sure that we could respond in the moment, and then fundraising appeals started to flow in, and we could replace those funds again, ready for the next crisis, whether it is Ukraine or anywhere else. So thank you for that amazing generosity, the flexibility that you allow us, and the trust that you place in us to know what to do and where to do it whenever the need is high. We take that trust very seriously, and I hope you hear that from all of the colleagues that you speak to today or after that. So let me leave you with that, and thank you once again for your amazing support.
Thanks, Shanti, for being here and for the work that your team provides around the world. It's really admirable. Now that you've seen what some of this support can do, I'd like everyone to take out your iPhone. I know, we're going to get you working. I told you there was a part here where you could contribute, and so we've got an amazing text-to-pledge program opportunity today. This year, the money raised from the Text-to-Pledge initiative goes directly to Save the Children's Emergency Fund. By following a few simple steps, you can contribute to Save the Children right now, and your pledge can be seen, well, soon on the screen. For those of you who have been with us before, you know that when you leave today, you get an incredible, well, always an incredible gift bag, but today, through the incredible generosity of Sephora and the Sephora vendors, you will leave with a bag that we've been told weighs 8 pounds. It has 23 pieces of product in it, and it's getting to be laughable. And you get to take it home in a sports sack, because something had to be really strong. And the kind generosity of the sports sack made this bag available to us. So now, lots of you are here as guests, And it's so wonderful that we're all having fun. So this is really your time to help us out. No amount of text to pledge is too small. So first, open your text message on your cell phone. Yep, and then enter the number. You all know how to do this, but I know we've been away 3 years from this event, so you got to get those fingers working again in a text-to-pledge mode. Type your name or company, the amount, and a short message, or you can appear to be anonymous. Lastly, put in your credit card info. This is a tax-deductible donation that will support families in need and immediate need around the world. So who's going to be the first? Who's going to be the first to text? I can see the movement. We're looking for 100% participation. That's what we all want in business, right? 100%. So please make a pledge. I will keep talking about this throughout this luncheon. And on your table, as you make a text to pledge today, we have a little postcard that you can send to the loved one, your sister, your mother, telling them that you have made a donation in their name. So please find the pens and the cards right on your table. Take it. It's lovely for them to receive this little postcard next week telling them that you were thinking of them. Yes, great. Okay, keep texting. Before we go to lunch, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce past outstanding mothers that we have honored that are with us today. It's really, really such an honor to have them back. We have Gemma Leonello, Jane Hansen, Gail Tiffert, Lisa Price, Mindy Grossman, Andrea Smith, Artemis Patrick, and Joanna Coles. So that's very nice, ladies, to have you back. We really appreciate it. And lastly, I want to acknowledge my incredible committee. They're the ones that really make all of this possible today. This group, along with my wife, Thea, helped me personally through the last 2 years during the pandemic. They stayed connected, we had fun, and I just love them dearly. Many of us have been together for 15 years, so I think their names are up on the slide here. If you give them a round of applause, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now enjoy your lunch. Remember to text a pledge. Have fun, get your conversation back, and we will come back with a live auction offering 4 incredible experiences that you won't be able to live without. Enjoy your lunch, everyone. We want to welcome the ever so entertaining, just a minute, Joanna Coles. Joanna is the creative entrepreneur. She is a TV producer. Hulu's The Bold Type was based on her editing career, an author and a director. She sits on the board of Snapchat and Sonos. Could I ask for everybody's attention, please? She was the former chief content officer of Hearst magazine. But as she adds, most importantly, she has 2 sons who've managed to stay just this side of the law. We couldn't be more excited than to have Joanna back as our MC.
Laurie is so polite. I would have told you all to shut the fuck up when she was doing her auction. Anyway, it is fantastic. It's fantastic to be back here. It's so exciting. It's quite some time. It's 3 years, so that's what, 990 days, 990 bottles of wine since I last saw everybody. I'm slightly out of practice, so I'm worried I may say something deeply inappropriate. But we do have security, because there's Will Self and Jada at the back. And if Will comes barreling through, Nancy is going to tackle him to the floor. Though it's impossible to know what you can say that might feel inappropriate, given the Supreme Court leak this week, which I'm sure has impacted a lot of people around the table. So anyway, we're not here to worry about politics. We're here to honor 5 absolutely extraordinary women. And all of us in the room who've got kids and have had or have big jobs know that at some point that is a real struggle. You don't know what to do. And you really rely on, or at least I relied on, extraordinary other women in very similar positions who are sort of wrestling with homework and teenage demands and boss demands and travel demands and all the things that a modern life, a good modern life, involves. So I'm particularly pleased to welcome one of my old colleagues today. And I've skipped ahead in my speech because I'm supposed to remind you that some very prominent women have actually been prior honorees, including Hillary Clinton and her daughter Chelsea, Estee Lauder, Caroline Kennedy, Halle Berry, Kate Hudson, Meryl Streep, Vera Wang, even myself, and many, many more. And I will say, I've met a lot of old friends in this room. I've also met an extraordinary number of women called Nancy. Can the people who are called Nancy, can you just put your hands up? Okay, I promise you there's a Nancy at every single table. Anyway, that's sort of irrelevant. But our 2022 honorees exemplify what it means to be a mom and to be a leader, and we're thrilled to recognize them today. And our first outstanding mother honoree, I'm very proud to say, and I feel this from the bottom of my heart because we worked together for 6 years and she was an extraordinary colleague, is Nancy Berger. Okay, I can see we're going to have a lot of competitive cheering. And after everybody gets one of their awards, right at the end, for those of you who haven't been before, we clear the tables and there's a naked wrestling match. It's worth staying for. Anyway, Nancy Berger is the SVP Publishing Director and Chief Revenue Officer of the Hearst Youth and Wellness Group, which includes Cosmo, Women's Health, Men's Health, 17, and Clever. And in her role, Nancy has created what she calls the new C-Suite, Cosmopolitan's annual list recognizing women entrepreneurs of color, and developed the first ever Women's Health Breakthroughs Festival. And we've got the editor of Women's Health over there, Liz Plosser, who's not yet a nominee, but I know you will be, Liz. Berger was also the first to incorporate live stream shopping into Hearst Magazine's portfolio, and recently she introduced the Youth and Wellness Group Airship in an interactive virtual headquarters for brands in the metaverse. Throughout her career, she's earned numerous industry honors, including recognition as Advertising Age's Publisher of the Year and Folio's Top Women in Media list. She currently sits on a ton of non-profit boards, including the Fragrance Foundation, Cosmetic Executive Women, and the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and she's a member of the Retail Influencer Network and the Dealmakers. And now, let's hear from one of Nancy's sons.
My mom is just the hardest working person I've ever seen. That doesn't get you all the way. She's also very creative and very instinctive.
She was just a woman who was nonstop go, 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 and could really do it all in my eyes.
She's come up with a lot of ideas that even to this day, companies that she's left are still using. She's so driven and she doesn't take no for an answer that no matter what the odds are and how much they're stacked against her, she's going to make it work.
As a working mom, it was not easy for her to really balance her work life and her kids, but I really couldn't have imagined a mom to balance the two better than she did.
The one story that really stuck with me, because I was a little bit older, was I had a very big basketball tournament my senior year of high school. So the day before, when we found out the time of the game, I told my mom, "Hey mom, our finals game is at 5. Tomorrow, I'd really like you to be there." And she was like, "Okay, I'll be there, no problem." And, the next day I go through school and the game is about to start and my mom's not there. And right as, after we take the court and the game's about to start, out of the corner of my eye, I see my mom in a dress in 5 or 6 inch heels, sprinting across from the entrance to the bleachers like she just walked out of a huge meeting. And by the time she was in her chair, the game had just started.
I remember in elementary school, she would go to like Paris or wherever she was going, and she would leave us little notes every single day for us to read in the morning, because she felt, you know, she wasn't going to be able to talk to us, the time difference. So that was a great way to start our day.
Me and my mom are still extremely, extremely close. She's someone who I go to for advice. She's someone I go to in the great moments and in the bad moments.
There's no one who deserves this award more than you. You have given me the opportunity to put me in the best position to be successful. Hopefully one day I can repay her for all that she's done.
Okay. Before you all get too sentimental, I remember Nancy coming in the morning, and the two of us would sit down and do competitive parenting about whose child had behaved worse the night before. Matthew, you tortured your mother. We'd be like, how much pot do you think is okay? How much dope? Is this dealing? Is he dealing? Is he just smoking? It's a nightmare. Anyway, please congratulate me in celebrating Nancy Berger as a 2022 Outstanding Mother of the Year. We do this at the end, sorry.
Wow. This is really emotional. I haven't had my picture taken this many times since my son's bar mitzvah. I like my dress better, though, now. Thank you, Joanna. I miss all of our crazy days at Mary Claire, where running in heels was our normal speed. And we were really good at it. I'm not as good at it anymore, but we were. That video, wow. I guess I did an okay job at being a mom. Matthew Berger, the Berger boys. Matthew is here in real life. Jacob is at College Park right now, finishing up his finals so he can hopefully graduate in the next 2 weeks. Go Terps. The Mother's Day Committee. So first I have to thank Thea and Lori for making me a part of this. I've been on this committee for 15 years. Thea recruited me. Lori took over with amazing leadership and passion, and we've raised a lot of money over the course of these years for such a good cause. Joanna mentioned there were a lot of Nancys. There are 5 Nancys on this committee, which is statistically improbable, since there are really not a lot of Nancys out there, and no new ones are being born. There's a little-known fact about this committee. The first year that we, honored women, we honored a mom who literally got up and said out loud that she had been a terrible mother. And after that, we really improved our vetting process. So anyway, you'll know that today because we have all these amazing honorees who we really do know are great moms, Priya and Phyllis and Biana and Marissa. And I just want to say one thing about Marissa, because we've known each other a really long time, going back to her Estee Lauder days, when she had the foresight to launch Executive Moms. And it was, we both had little kids, there was no place to get support, there was no network, and she really made it happen. And it was your destiny to be here and get this award. Today is my mom's 85th birthday, Cinco de Mayo, and she's in Florida with my dad. She attended this luncheon one year, literally looked around the room and could not believe how many high-powered women there were in this world. Like, she was like, I know that you're successful, but what's going on here? It was very intimidating to her. And, it really made me realize that there are strength in numbers, and everyone in this room has learned how to support one another, and I feel it every day and feel very, very lucky. So I wanted to share what motherhood has meant to me and end with my single best parenting tip that is guaranteed to work. There's a funny TikTok out there about being a parent. I don't know if anybody has seen it. It's where parents lip sync a comedy routine, and it goes like this. Have you made people yet? Oh yeah, you wait. I've made my own people, and I'm their leader. And it's kind of a frightening thought. My boys are my people. They are my heart. I have tissues here. Thank you, Lori Singer. They are my heart, my soul. I feel lucky and honored to be their mom. I am so proud of the adults they have become. They are kind, loving, loyal, family-oriented, hardworking, good people, and they have my unconditional love. For those that know me, the thing that makes me happiest in life is time spent with my family and my extended family, particularly around holidays when I get to cook huge, I'm not kidding, huge, quantities of food, open cases and cases of wine, set a gorgeous table, and have everyone together. I live for those moments, and that really is the truth. I had a lot of Jewish guilt about raising my boys as a divorced executive mom who worked crazy hours and traveled a lot. But I've always loved what I do professionally, and they knew that me as a happy mom meant me as a better mom. And it was equally important for me to be very present in their lives, and while I did miss many things, including weekday dinners together with them, we never really had that, I made a promise to each of them that I would never miss anything that they told me was important. So Matt, when you talked about that story with the basketball game, that really meant a lot. In fact, when I've asked my kids if they remember me missing things, they really don't. But what they don't know is the stress from the times I almost didn't make it. Like when I was in Miami on a business trip and got the date wrong for Matthew's first band concert. I realized that at 10 in the morning, and I had to be back in Westchester at 7 p.m. After moving around my meetings, departing from a different airport, which required rebooking flights, and then the new flight that I almost missed was then canceled, so I had to be rebooked again, but that flight left from a different terminal, so I ran through the airport with my luggage and my heels. I got on the plane. I was the last seat, the very last row next to the bathroom. But I got to the auditorium on time. I sat in my seat, trying to catch my breath as the kids entered the stage. Matt waved at me, I smiled and I waved back, and then the concert began. And this is what it sounded like. And I literally burst out laughing, like out loud. And it was true. You were a good saxophone player, but it was true. I got a lot of angry looks from other parents. I was literally the worst mom and the best mom all at the same time, and sometimes that's just how it goes. I had a very transient upbringing due to my dad's job at NBC News. I was born in Youngstown, Ohio. I graduated high school in London, and I moved every 3 to 4 years my whole life. It was really hard to make new friends and start over again and again with each move, and I vowed I would never do that with my kids. They were going to have roots. And so I moved out of the city when I was pregnant with Matthew to a community in Westchester. It was filled with young families, and we all had our babies at the same time, and all those kids and parents have become my lifelong friends, and they're all, most of them, many of them are at that table right there. And I was one of the few working moms, so I would not have survived without this amazing group of women. Sometimes, often, my best friend Jody Miller was always reminding me about something that I didn't know, like school picture day, oh, okay, or early school closing, good to know, bake sales. Moms were always transporting my kids to play dates, to after-school activities, to birthday parties on a regular basis. I would get a text with a picture of Jacob at a birthday party with his face planted into a slice of pizza. And I missed it. But I also knew that I couldn't have done it without my village and with all these people. And that village for us, we call Boulder Ridge. And I'm so glad you guys are here with me today. As I said, I had a lot of guilt about raising my boys in some non-traditional ways. When my son Jacob my son Jacob came up with a life philosophy, which he shared many years ago to my best friend Norman, Uncle Norman. And what he said is, if you're thrown a curveball, all you have to do is adjust to the pitch. You've got this. And that motto has served our family well, because we have been thrown a few curveballs. Like when Jacob was 10, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And we were taking a vacation, and he was peeing, and he was moody, and he just wasn't right. And we came home and saw the pediatrician, and the next thing I know, we were in the hospital for a week, me and Jacob together, learning how to count carbs and calculate insulin doses, pricking his finger multiple times a day to test his blood sugar, and really dealing with a new way of life. And for 2 years, I woke up at 2 in the morning every day to test his blood sugar quietly, and sometimes had to wake him up and give him a glass of apple juice so that his numbers would go up. And business trips then were harder, as I constantly worried about Jacob's numbers. And all I wanted was for him to be able to do anything and everything he wanted to do. And he did, including being a star linebacker on the Scarsdale varsity football team. So as a family, we've made a big commitment to type 1 diabetes research. We're actually doing a big run. If anybody wants to come on June 5th, just let me know. And then last year, exactly this time, we got another curveball, which is Matthew was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And it's rare for that to happen. I actually was the one to diagnose him, mother's intuition. But there is no family and extended family more qualified to get through this together. Matt is really doing great, and we are all doing great. We've got this. One final curveball that I wanted to talk about, which we all went through, is the pandemic and motherhood, which was definitely, the best of times and the worst of times. Apparently, I speak very loud when I'm on a business call. No one liked that. We lived in my house out east, which we dubbed the commune, and it was my sister, best friend Carol, our 4 boys, basically the same age, a lot of dogs. Matt graduated from college in our living room. Jacob's college experience was dramatically changed, and I went through some health challenges during that time. But so much good came out of it. We adopted our adorable puppy, Charla. We ate dinner together every single night, mandated by the kids. We played lots of games and did puzzles. I got healthy, and we got through that together, and I'm so grateful. I'm going to end with my parenting tip. It's called The Magic Powers. This is true. When Matthew was 2 years old, we were taking a flight to Florida to see my parents, and I was worried I was going to be one of those parents where the kids were going to scream. And so I brought home a magic wand, and I did a spell on Matthew, like literally abracadabra, here's the spell. And the spell was giving him magic powers that when he got on the plane, if he went right to sleep, the plane would get there faster, and everyone would know it was his magic powers and would thank him. And I would tell everybody once he fell asleep, like, you better thank him. And so they did. He woke up, and they were like, oh, we heard, and he was so proud. And it worked. And then Jacob got old enough, and Matthew wanted to give Jacob the magic powers, and Jacob had the magic powers. And anyway, plane travel, their whole childhood, piece of cake. But to this day, my kids get on a plane, fall immediately asleep. They have never eaten a meal or seen a movie on a flight. So for those that have young children, I'm telling you, we have spread this word, and it really does work. My final thing I want to say is that motherhood has given me my own magic powers. The ability to function with no sleep, to find a solution to any problem, to never take no for an answer. My kids hate that. To love unconditionally, and to build a world filled with the most amazing friends, family, colleagues who magically appear whenever you need them. Thank you for this incredible honor.
Okay, and that is why Nancy and I had so much fun working together. So our next outstanding mother honoree is Marisa Thalberg. Marisa is the Executive Vice President, Chief Brand and Marketing Officer for Lowe's Companies, and she also oversees Lowe's corporate communications, community relations, and events planning and execution. Her leadership through the COVID-19 pandemic helped drive record sales for the company, and she was even named one of Adweek's 2021 CMO honorees for perfecting the pandemic pivot. Since then, Marisa has continued driving unprecedented business and brand growth for Lowe's, helping to move it to number 31 on the Fortune 500 list, as well as the top spot for home improvement on Fortune's most admired retailers list. Marisa has been deemed one of the world's 50 most influential CMOs multiple times by Forbes, and named one of the most innovative CMOs in the world by Business Insider. Prior to Lowe's, Marisa served as Global Chief Brand Officer at Taco Bell and spent 8 years at the Estee Lauder companies. In 2002, as Nancy referred to, Marisa founded Executive Moms, an organization created to connect and support accomplished women who are both professionals and mums. So now let's hear from Lowe's CEO, Marvin Ellison.
With Marisa, it was all predicated on trying to make a difference. And again, she's been, as always, just incredibly effective in changing the lives of other people. You know, whether it's, America's Big Deal TV program on the USA Network.
What I love about what you've conceived here is it's at the intersection of two really critical trends right now.
Whether it's Build It Forward on HGTV, which is our attempt to be a great citizen to homeowners who provided great service in their communities. And another, project and significant initiative that Marisa introduced was something called Executive Moms. And it's just her way of taking the lessons she's learned as a professional female in the workplace and balancing those priorities with most important responsibility, and that is being a mom. Marisa has done an incredible job of being a role model of finding the balance of being a mom with a 16-year-old and a 21-year-old, and her husband, David, just do an incredible job of making sure that the family comes first. And I look at Marisa now being recognized as Mother of the Year. The good thing is that the organization really got it right. I mean, you have someone who's been an incredibly successful executive in a very competitive space, but someone who also loves her children and is an outstanding mom and wife. Marisa Thalberg is the best role model that I can think of.
Yeah, please join me in giving it up for Marisa Thalberg.
Wow, that was so nice. I'm going to have to play that back on bad days at work. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much to the National Mother's Day Committee and to Lori and Thea. Thea, I mean, gosh, I looked up to you so much when we were colleagues at the Estee Lauder Companies. What a full circle moment to be back here with you. This is a very special recognition to me. I've seen so many terrific women rise to accept this honor in the past. And some of them are dear friends, some of them are in the room today, and it just gives me such a thrill to join in their company along with Nancy and Phyllis and Priya and Biana. I'm really, really honored. And it also does feel auspicious to me to receive this award in 2022, as it happens to be the 20-year anniversary of my founding of the organization Executive Moms. Nancy, thank you for noting that. Oh, well, thank you. The truth is I founded it just out of a very personal desire, as often good ideas are born that way. And it turns out that it quickly emerged as just a much more universal need. Even here in New York City, this bastion of work life, It was very clear back then how much a sense of community, camaraderie, and support among women, fabulous women, I always said that back then, who are both professionals and moms, was necessary. And I truly never intended to found an organization, especially as a new mom myself. I had a full-time career. I was then head of global advertising at Unilever Cosmetics International, and some of my colleagues like Lori Singer, who's part of this committee, was there with me back then. I just wanted to join something. I really did, and I asked so many people, what is there to join? And the answer kept being, we don't know, and you need to start something. And remember, this was also pre-social media, just to rewind the clock. So enough women like you, including some of you, encouraged me to go make it happen. That Executive Moms was born as a result. And for those, and it's so great to be back here and realizing I see faces, and I know some of you were there with me back then, and some of you, or for those of you who did attend our events back then, the real person you couldn't miss, who was working the registration table, because, you know, good cheap labor was hard to find, was my mom. And, you know, the problem with employing my mom at this very serious professional side endeavor I had is that she was, you know, the consummate New York Jewish mother. So the door, we would do these events at the Harmony Club, the line would queue out because she wanted to talk to everybody and wanted to know why they were there. Remember, Jen? I mean, like, this went on for a while, and I'd be like, come on, come on. But, you know, she wasn't trying to be corporate. She was just a proud mom, you know, and I can still walk down a street in New York City and have someone stop and, you know, ask me about my mom. And unfortunately, she's no longer here today, although I think she's got the best seats. But, you know, this is definitely a day I think we honor our own moms, right? Who got us here. And just really being back here and reflecting. I mean, where's Jane Hansen? Jane, where are you? No, another past honoree. There you are back there. I mean, Jane, you know, emceed one of those events. So it was such a New York thing, and so many prominent women in the media and our industries, but it also extended around the country and around the world because it was so universal. So fast forward to today, when that baby girl who first made me a mom is about to graduate from college next week and embark on the start of her own career right back here in New York later this summer. Take good care of her, New York, while her younger sister is back home and in school taking her finals for her sophomore year of high school. Ironic, I know, it's a Mother's Day award, neither of my daughters are here, but, you know, they're right where they should be. They're right where they should be today. And, you know, seeing the exceptional, I mean, really exceptional young women they have become is for me the ultimate gratification and, frankly, validation of the very thesis that it was at the core of Executive Moms. So today is a very meaningful, full circle moment for me. But at the same time, today is more than just a circle. It's also a moment to consider the winding but always forward-moving line of my career and my life since. And I want to just point out two very visible signs of that. The incredible, inspiring women, all executive moms themselves that I have come to know over these years who have become, I mean, Nancy, you said, right, your village, have become such important friends and invaluable support systems to me, several of whom are honoring me by sitting at my table right here today. I just love you all so much, and several of the rest of you are in the room. And I'm also joined right here by a table of some of the brightest rising executive moms at Lowe's. And you know, how special is that? And, you know, just note to Lori and the organizers, I mean, some of them are surely future honorees in the making. And, you know, to the one guy at the table. Well, I really am in extra awe of the women who manage to be outstanding mothers without a partner. I mean, it really, just an incredible doffing of the cap to them. But I personally cannot imagine being here without the steadfast love and true partnership of my husband, David. Look, you got your own applause. He's going to like that. We'll be talking about that later. But you know, from New York City to Southern California to Charlotte, North Carolina, I know so his favorite joke all week has been, can you believe I didn't also win the Outstanding Father Award? But you know, to me, Hannah and Avery, you're definitely our winner. And I want to just leave you all with really just one. It was hard to pick, but one of the many insights I managed to accrue over these years of being a mom, being an executive, and getting to be an advocate for both. And here it is. You know, I think what I've come to realize is that nothing perpetuates self-doubt, especially among moms like us, like a feeling of isolation does. And I realized that the biggest psychological benefit of executive moms back in its day was its most basic. That when you can see yourself in other women and just feel the simple power of shared experience, it's so profoundly comforting and also energizing. And I mean, it's really how I feel today. This is energy in my veins, just being in this room with all of you, and particularly living in a city now where this isn't as commonplace. I can't tell you how much more it means to me, how much more I appreciate it. And what became clear to me then, and I hope many of you can see now, is how much better we are all at doing this than we tend to give ourselves credit for. Really. And it's true. And I mean, we tend to not be wired that way. But I've come to believe that connection is like the flashlight that casts away those dark shadows of doubt and, yes, guilt that twist and grow in our thoughts, especially when we're alone with them. So even though the community that I started has sunsetted over the past few years, what I wish for all of you is that you continue to find that connection, no matter at what age or stage you are as a mother, or frankly, as a human being. Commiserate a little, laugh a lot, lean on others, and let others lean on you. And definitely celebrate the good moments because they really go quickly. And I just thank you so very much, really from the bottom of my heart, for giving me such an exceptionally special one today. Thank you so much.
Okay. I may be required to swear again if we don't have silence for our next honoree. Okay, our next honoree is Priya Venkatesh. Priya, as you will see in the goodie bag we will be receiving later, serves as, thank you, Sephora's Senior Vice President of Merchandising for Skincare and Hair, and there is no better representative. In her 15-year tenure, Priya has developed and executed many successful initiatives, including the launch of Clean at Sephora, providing clients a clear point of view on the clean beauty category and Sephora's offering across 50+ brands and 2,000 products. Skin IQ, an in-store skincare solutions diagnostic tool, and she's introduced a range of high-performing brands, including Bumble and Bumble, Drunk Elephant, thank you, Dyson, Glam Glow, Olaplex, and Summer Fridays. Under Priya's leadership, Sephora's skin and hair business has grown dramatically. She's focused on category vision and development, including building a robust brand portfolio of indie, emerging, clean, and classic brands. And she was the first to introduce K-beauty in prestige retail while driving innovation in formulation offerings, product, and services at Sephora. And now let's hear it from Priya's daughter.
She's had incredible impact over her last 17 years at Sephora and just super smart and strategic and thinking long term. So she knows that this is a marathon, not a race.
Priya is very involved in our Accelerate program, which was formed to help cultivate BIPOC female-founded beauty brands.
We have 8 to 10 cohorts per year, and already we're close to launching half of the brands that were part of the program at Sephora, which is quite a success rate.
Priya, to me, has never been someone outwardly who ever struggled with balance in her life. I observed that she could be a great mom and a great working mom at the same time.
So my mom has a pretty unique job, I guess, compared to other moms, and all my friends think it's super cool. She's really good at leading and motivating people to do better.
What I've seen and I've really respected, and I take a page out of her book, is how she wants to make sure that Mira knows that she is in a place of privilege, and making sure that she learns that the world is bigger than, the backyard in Palo Alto or the backyard in San Francisco.
My mom and I went to South Africa with a few other people, and we got to visit schools. I obviously had a lot of questions because I thought that all kids all over the world got a free education, and I thought that all schools were as nice as mine, because I'd kind of grown up in a little bubble, and I was all of a sudden exposed to kids growing up in extreme poverty. And she helped me make connections to my everyday life on how maybe not getting this one piece of clothing or this one thing I want isn't the end of the world when I have a house and food and an education.
I love we're honoring a mother who is there for her daughter on the things that matter, and at the same time, running a pretty kick-ass business.
Okay, please welcome to the stage Priya Venkatesh.
Thank you all. God, please don't tell anyone at Sephora there's a competition of any sort. You will see the not so good side of humanity come alive. Thank you, Joanna Coles, for the very warm introduction, and to my friends, family, and colleagues, and my heartfelt thanks to all of you for the wonderful video. It is great to be here with all of you today and to support such a wonderful organization, Save the Children. I am honored to be receiving this award and feel so fortunate to be included alongside such amazing women. Nancy, Bianna, Phyllis, and Marissa, congratulations on your many accomplishments and this honor. And a special thank you to the Mother's Day Committee for putting together such an incredible event. What can I say about motherhood? It is one of the most important roles many of us play in our lives, and yet we get no handbook, training, or even direct feedback. We learn on the job, and our performance reviews come decades later. Some of you have it. I'm still awaiting mine. We think about our kids constantly, keep adapting to their ever-changing needs, and mainly we worry a lot about things we cannot control for them. It is definitely not easy to be a fully involved mother and run a business at the same time. And to borrow from an African proverb and the theme of this today's event, I think, it really takes a village to raise a child. And for working moms, it takes an A+ village. I have had the most amazing village to help me. I grew up in an Indian joint family, surrounded by doting grandparents, aunts, uncles, along with my parents. I was actually a pretty obese baby because there were 20 people in that house taking care of me. My brother Jay and I were raised to depend on the love and help of our extended family. And the best lessons are taught by example, and my parents were very generous with their support, love, and help to their village. When I moved to America, I knew I definitely needed my own village in my new life. I am thankful to my husband Ajay, who shares this value, supports my work, and is a very hands-on dad, in addition to running his own startup. My mom, who is here, was a huge help in raising our amazing daughter, Mira. This support really allowed me to travel the world freely, knowing she was in the best of hands. Sephora has been such a huge part of my village. When people ask me what has kept me here for actually 17 years, I say it is the people and the culture, and many of whom are here today. Everyone works hard and likes to win, but we find a way of doing this with a lot of care and support and collaboration. I worked with Artemis for most of my career, and thanks to her, I'm a better manager, mom, and person. I am super appreciative of my peers and my team who always choose collaboration over competition and who will do right by the business and the people they work with. I can never forget the time when I was 6 months pregnant. I was on my way to work, and I was seized by severe pain. I mistakenly thought I was in early labor. Clearly, I hadn't experienced labor at that time. Thought it was early labor. I called Cindy to let her know I'm not going to make it to work. And within 15 minutes of my call, she showed up at my apartment with our planner, not sure why, even before my husband, ready to take me to the hospital. Luckily, it turned out to be kidney stones. As you can see, to use medical parlance, I had a healthy outcome. But honestly, this just sums up the Sephora culture. Everybody figures out how to support each other while getting great results, which is important. And as merchants, I will say, we spend most of our time with our brand partners. And I've had the privilege of having many of you in my village. As mothers, founders, executives, CEOs, and honestly, amongst the coolest people I've ever met, all of you stretch the art of the possible. Every time I struggle with the juggle, I think of you guys, any of you, and lighten the heck up. People like June Jacobs, Carrie Gross have been part of my village even before I was a mom, for almost all my time at Sephora, and taught me with their unique blend of tenacity, care, and compassion. Founders like Vicky Tsai, Mathilde, Tiffany Masterson, Tata Harper, Hila Yang, to name just a few, juggle raising young children, building a brand, and still find time to give back. I'm especially thankful my daughter Mira has had the opportunity to meet some of these amazing women. You will always be my biggest inspiration, wherever you guys are sitting. Industry veterans like Jane Huddes, Carol Hamilton, Vasiliki have been generous mentors and cheerleaders, not just to me, but to many women in our industry. It would really not be possible for me to get here, being thousands of miles away from my home and my family, trying to break through a different culture, country, industry without this group of mentors and supporters. I also want to thank all my neighborhood moms, one of who Abby is here, who reads the 3-paragraph school emails and puts it in a succinct 2-word text message to me. For those of you who know me, I do not read long emails. So, including the school ones. Listen, there are not enough hours in the day for me to stand here and express the gratitude or the impact my village has had on my life. My work means a lot to me, and I really hope many women get the same opportunities and support I have received, and I hope I can thank you all and pay it forward by being part of their village. Thank you all so much.
So our next honoree is Phyllis Newhouse. Phyllis is the CEO and founder of Shoulder Up Technology Acquisition Corp., the founder and CEO of cybersecurity firm Extreme Solutions, Inc., and the founder of Shoulder Up, a nonprofit dedicated to connecting and supporting women on their entrepreneurial journeys. Phyllis is also a retired military senior officer, having served 22 years in the US Army. Thank you for your service. A pioneer in business, she was the first Black female CEO to take a SPAC public on the NYSE, and she was also the first woman to win an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award in the technology category, which is no easy feat. In 2000, yep, another round of applause. You're just breaking all these ceilings, my friend. In 2019, alongside Academy Award winner Viola Davis, Phyllis founded nonprofit Shoulder Up to encourage women to speak up, stand up and shoulder up, allowing them to see themselves in a different context, teaching them to grow their influence and encouraging them to increase their economic power. Could there be a more important message to women? And just last year, Phyllis was featured on the cover of Inc. magazine's Female Founders issue alongside Stacey Abrams. She was also recognized on Forbes' 50 over 50, and you don't look a day over 30s, Rainmakers list. I hate those lists. Why do they just segment everything by age? It's ridiculous. Anyway, nevertheless, it's great that you were on it. For women creating new ways to make and move money. So before we welcome Phyllis on stage, let's hear a few remarks from her son, who I think is resoundingly more polite than mine.
So as a mom, I would definitely say she's my role model from day one. She's somebody that I can look up to and say that, hey, like, this is somebody that I aspire to be one day, or aspire better to be in terms of, just being caring and loving. And, as a only child, just being able to help me with life and, help me progress as a man. Growing up, my mom, tried to start millions of businesses, whether they, succeeded or not. I'll say one of the biggest lessons I learned from my mother is don't quit. One thing that she said to me is that, there's a long road and there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises along the way.
Everything I've ever done in my life, it wasn't because I thought I could do it. It is that I knew that I would do it.
My mom was actually in the Army for 20 plus years. She was hand-selected by General Colin Powell for the Cyber Espionage Task Force. Personally, my mom was a leader, coming from where she was growing up to where she is now, like with, the businesses that may not have been here today, to, now being one of the first African-American women to ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange. I attended the University of West Georgia. I majored in finance, and she basically told me, hey, I want this to be you one day. I want you to kind of learn the family business. So from there, I, just try to be underneath her, try to be a sponge and soak up all the knowledge from her and learn. And, hopefully one day I can be on top and ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Her growth is just amazing. And it's really great to see where she is now. And then as a mom, like I said, just helping me become the best man that I can be. I was raised by a single mother, so I know that was definitely hard for her. Teaching me everything about life and being there as a mom and, loving me. That's why I feel like she deserves a Women's Award.
Please welcome Phyllis Newhouse to the stage.
Wow, I promise you I'm not going to cry. Who is that man? I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative of this award. So thank you. It is such an honor. And to all the honorees, what a blessing to be with women like you for this award. And I want to thank the committee. I know you all had a hell of a, choices that you could have selected many other women that are deserving. And to be standing here, I would tell you I'm very appreciative. And Stacey Burns, God knows you deserve an award for putting up with me. Because, and I want to say something. If you will join me in just singing happy birthday. My mother will be 91 tomorrow along with Stacey Burns. So if you will join me with singing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Stacey. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. I'm going to make, I didn't prepare a speech, but I hope I burned the house down. All right. I want to take you on a trip with me, and it's going to be a very short trip. And I want you to pack a suitcase. And in your suitcase, there are a few things that I want you to take. We're going to the land of motherhood. And on our way there, we're going to pack a few things in our suitcase, and we don't want to leave these things out. Why? Because they are so important. And the first thing that I want you to pack is I want you to pack determination, because being a mother, you must have determination in your suitcase, and you're going to need a lot. And I want you to pack a little laughter, because sometimes you just got to stop and laugh at yourself before others do. And it ain't that serious. That's what my son used to say, Mom, it ain't that serious. You just got to laugh. And I would tell you the next thing to pack. I want you to pack opportunities. Opportunities. You have an opportunity of a lifetime to fail and succeed as being a mother. And my mother used to say to me, she said, you know, there's a difference between being a good mother and a great mother. Good mothers are perfect. Great mothers are not. And they're okay. It's okay when you fail. It is okay when you can say, I feel like quitting. I feel tired. That's the difference between a good mother and a great mother. And I'll tell you the next thing that I think we should pack in our suitcase. I think we should pack joy. There is so much joy in being a mother and being able to raise and being able to help mentor and coach and advise. You see, along the way, if we realize we get an opportunity to shape our future. And it's okay if they don't step in your shoes and they can't wear them, they don't fit, and you're too tired. My son told me, Mom, I can't wear your shoes. I have my own shoes. I can only follow the path that you have left. And hopefully it's a great path. And if you decide to go left, if you decide to go right, walk in your own shoes. And I would tell you one other thing that I would like to say that I think is so important is that you must pack the 3 Ds. What are the 3 Ds that I'm going to tell you to put in your suitcase today? It's called detours, distractions, and disappointment. God knows as a mother, you go through all 3, and the hell if you go through them all at one time, right? And so the last thing I would tell you to pack is honor. Honor. I served 22 years in the military, and there was nothing better that I felt than serving my country until I became a mother. And the power that I had as a mother to serve and to shape this young man, you see, it wasn't always easy when you go through a divorce and you decide that you're going to retire and you decide that you're going to start a business all at the same time. God knows me so well, he gives me all my hell up front, right? Because he knows if he only gave it to me one time, I wouldn't pay attention. So I'm going through my hell and I decide, you know what? We've got this. And I remember him being a young boy and just looking there saying, wow, what a journey we're going to travel on together. And see, he's been with me as I packed my suitcase and unpacked and repacked and packed again. So I'm going to talk to my son right now. If you would just give me a moment, just pretend you're not in the room. But this is for my son. Thank you for traveling with me on my journey. And thank you for allowing me to fail and to make those mistakes. Thank you for giving me the joy. Thank you for giving me the highs and the lows. Lord knows last week we just went through one. But thank you for allowing me to serve you, and thank you for allowing me and for you to trust me. And thank you for trusting me along the way. Though I know I haven't been perfect, and I know I haven't always been right, but I thank you for taking the journey with me, and I thank you for your kind words as a son, and for my significant other that's sitting beside my son of 21 years. I say to you, I became one of the greatest mothers because I watch you as a great father. And so thank you for that. And so for those of you in the room today, as you pack your suitcase and unpack and repack, I would tell you, enjoy the journey, enjoy the trip, because God knows on the other side what a wonderful land of motherhood you're going to go to. Thank you. Somebody's crying. Aww.
I'm sure your son's crying. You have to smile. Great. Well, I know that I will be packing Phyllis's outfit, actually, which is spectacular. Wonderful, wonderful colour. And what I love about this lunch is that you get so many different perspectives on motherhood and so many different stories. It makes it really powerful. But you realize that as everybody has their own individual journey, there's an enormous amount we share. And I came across a really alarming statistic the other day, which said that 50% of women now don't have their children until over the age of 30, and that 1 in 5, so 20%, I think that's 20%, are choosing not to have children at all. And I think it's incumbent on everybody in the room to remind younger women that it's okay to have children. You don't have to be perfect, and no job is ever going to replace the extraordinary bond you have with a child, and that something that you don't always appreciate until you're older, that they will always come first. Anyway, that's just my personal thing, but I do find when I talk to younger women how important it is to remind them that they can do this too. Anyway, our final award is going to another of my former colleagues, and I'm absolutely thrilled, Biana Golodryga, sitting over here. Biana is a senior global affairs analyst and anchor for CNN, and she's based in New York. Prior to CNN, where I knew her, she served as the co-anchor for CBS This Morning, where she led the network's coverage of President George H.W. Bush's funeral and conducted numerous extraordinary newsmaking interviews, including an exclusive with the CEO of Huawei, the first with a US journalist. And I remember her getting the interview, roaring off to China without a moment's thought, roaring back, doing an excellent interview that broke all sorts of news about the company doing all sorts of wrong things, and rushing off to see her kids as well. Previously, she'd appeared on the CBS Evening News, where in 2017 she reported from her hometown of Houston, covering the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. But perhaps the most meaningful work Biana has done throughout her career occurred just last month, when she returned to Moldova, the country of her birth, and the one that she and her parents fled over 40 years ago. She was returning to Moldova with the US mission to the United Nations, and Biana reported on the country's generosity in absorbing hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian refugees. And she also accompanied Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield to Romania to cover the announcement of their intention to suspend Russia from the UN Human Rights Council and to visit refugee sites in both countries. And now, a few words from Biana's husband.
Biana has this rare combination of cutting insight, but also humility, along with a remarkable work ethic, and that's an extremely rare combination. So she grew up in Texas as, the only Russian emigre, and so after she graduated from college, she moved to New York, but originally from Moldova. And in a great, American success story, she likes to tell the story of cold calling CNBC repeatedly until just by happenstance, one of those calls was met with a positive response because they needed a producer. And then gradually they would put her in front of the camera. And from there she moved to ABC because people saw what a great job she was doing on camera.
This, of course, all coming from the man who told me on the phone that he was their father.
In the meanwhile, she's now a senior global affairs analyst at CNN and is really enjoying that role.
Minutes from now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will address the United Nations.
It's a little embarrassing to say that we met at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think it was electric from the get-go, and the rest is history. Biana and I have 2 kids, Jake and Maya. I also have older children. She's been a fantastic stepmom too, and so Jake and Maya are just fantastic. Jake is now 10, Maya's almost 6. It's actually remarkably great home life where the strains and struggles of having 2 working parents somehow, most of the time, we're able to actually keep all of the balls in the air and keep the trains running. And kudos to Bianna, because it requires a constant set of balancing where while she's walking to a soccer match, she'll be listening to a podcast to try to get briefed for the next day's news. Oftentimes that kind of balance or multitasking is difficult, but Bianna is able to pull it off, I would say, almost flawlessly.
Please welcome Bianna Golodryga.
Wow. Thank you to the committee for this incredible award. And I don't want to take up any more of your time today, so I will keep it brief, but meaningful. And congratulations to the other recipients. You're all incredible mothers and really put me in a precarious position in terms of trying to one-up your speeches, so I'm not even going to try. I think I committed the cardinal sin that we as women all go through in life when we're awarded with a promotion or recognition or an award in this case, because when I first learned about this, my immediate reaction was, I don't deserve it. But I'm, no perfect mother, no one is. But my second reaction was, my husband, most men would just say, wow, thank you, really appreciate you thinking of me, I'm honored, thanks for the award. So that's what I will say, thank you, I'm honored. So as we've heard from all of these mothers, we all know that children make our lives better and worth living. That is all incredibly true. But what I didn't realize in being a mother was how much it would elevate my relationship with my own mother, who was always my best friend and role model prior to meeting my husband and becoming a wife and then becoming a mother myself. We are best friends. We're kind of obsessed with each other. I'm an only child. If you visit her Instagram account, it is only pictures of me every single day that I am on air with like 3 exclamation marks, Bianna on CNN. My husband jokes that, he can win a Nobel Prize, but she will, go tell the neighbors that I blew my hair out perfectly. But I've come to realize that it's very useful to have her sort of stalk me online and on Instagram, because now I know which outfits I can repeat and how often I wore a dress. So, but in all sincerity, like I mentioned, and as you heard from the introduction, I'm an only child, I'm an immigrant. My family, my mom and I, my dad, we were all together and inseparable. But it wasn't until I had my firstborn that I realized how wonderful my mother really is, and how I came to understand the incredible challenges that she went through without me ever knowing or experiencing personally. We came to the United States with $270 between the 3 of us. That was it. That was all we were allowed to leave the Soviet Union with. We moved here as political refugees, Jewish refugees in 1980 from the Soviet Union, then Moldova. My mom's first job in this country when we moved to Galveston, Texas, because that's what Jewish immigrants from the Soviet Union do. They moved to Galveston, Texas. No, my parents were contrarians. They didn't want to go to New York or LA, which is where the majority of Russian Soviet Jews moved. So they wanted to go somewhere warm. My dad was an engineer. And so HIAS, the resettlement program, decided to move us to Galveston, Texas. So like fish out of water, there we landed in Texas. My mom's first job there was mopping floors for free at the daycare so that I could go for free. 10 years later, she was an IT executive at a Fortune 500 company, and today she's among the top female executives in the country. I have no idea how she was able to do it, not because she didn't have the talent and not because she wasn't gifted, but because she never made me feel neglected or that I was anything but her top priority. I traveled with her on business trips. I annoyed the hell out of her by calling her incessantly in meetings, whatever it was, but she always took my call. To this day, I cannot believe that she put up with me to the extent that she did, but she likes to remind me that she always took my calls when I complain about my kids bugging me. As mothers, our mothers are usually our most reliable sources on all things kids, marriage, career-related. And as a journalist, there are few tools more valuable than a great, rock-solid source. Well, this year, something remarkable has happened. As we have all been watching and as we've noted, I've been covering this god-awful, unprovoked war that Russia has launched against Ukraine. And my mom suddenly became that omnipresent source for me, both emotionally and professionally. Watching and interviewing mothers fleeing their homes, desperate to protect their children, becomes overwhelming at times, especially when you can speak to them, as I can. Most of these women and families in Ukraine speak Russian. So when you look at them and you see what could have been you, what could have been your grandmother fleeing a war, an unprovoked war, it takes a toll on you. And I don't know that I would have been able to get through all of these horrendous weeks of watching this war without my mother telling me that this is what these women are experiencing. She understands their pain. She understands what growing up in an authoritarian system entails. My parents grew up in Moldova, the poorest country in Europe. Arguably, it's most vulnerable now, second only to Ukraine, which it borders. It has no NATO or EU protection and has its own separatist pro-Russian breakaway republic within its very borders. And now there's increased concerns that Vladimir Putin may invade there as well. Well, a few weeks ago, as you heard Joanna say, I was invited to travel back to Moldova with the UN ambassador to the United States to visit with Ukrainian refugees there. It was my first time back in Moldova in 35 years. It was one of the most surreal moments of my life, going back to a country which I fled as a refugee on a US government plane with a US cabinet member visiting and helping Ukrainian refugees on the ground there. There were two thoughts that came to my mind during that trip. One was how proud I was to be an American. And the second was how grateful I am to my parents who sacrificed so much so that I could be an American. So on that note, I would like to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. It is my daughter's 6th birthday on Mother's Day. She was my Mother's Day present 6 years ago, so we have a lot to celebrate this year. We have a lot to celebrate with this incredible country doing such amazing work and helping children and families around the world, Save the Children, doing so much in giving to people that did nothing but happen to live in a sovereign nation that a big bully viewed as not one. So thank you for honoring me, and have a wonderful day. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
So please join me again in congratulating all our outstanding mother honorees. And to the extraordinary Laurie Dowley, who pulls this whole event together and is a miracle worker.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our luncheon. Joanna, we have a small gift, just a token of something. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do not forget your beautiful bag, goodie bag on the way out. Thank you to the honorees. They were beautiful, beautiful speeches. We so enjoyed them. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.